and welcome to another episode of Gleams of the Morning podcast. I'm your host, David. Today's episode is titled, Your Greatest Fear. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, then I will come into him, and will dine with him, and he with me. Revelation 3:20, WEB. In 2017, a young summer camp staff at Glacier View Ranch woke in his tent to the sound of crunching. It sounded a lot like teeth on bone. Dylan shortly began punching at the thing above his head as he was dragged from his tent. He battled the black bear while being drugged for 12 feet until it finally released its jaw from his head. The crunching sound, he realized, was the teeth of the bear hitting his skull. Dylan barely escaped certain death. What is your greatest fear? Take a moment to think about this. Most people may think of common fears such as those of the dark, confined spaces, needles, or even death. Maybe for you it's getting up in front of people. Those are all normal fears to hold. Fear protects us from going places or doing things that could harm us. It can protect us from doing embarrassing things. But too often, fear simply holds us back. Fear at its core is really a caution towards the unknown. For example, many children are afraid of the dark. But as they grow and learn that the dark is quite safe, generally speaking, they stop being afraid of the dark. Many people who are fearful of being in front of a large crowd overcome this with a bit of experience being up front. In fact, the most ingrained fears, called phobias, can often be overcome with help from a trained therapist. Through controlled and gradual exposure to the thing that is feared, a person can learn to no longer be so afraid of it. It is possible to learn to control your own fear. It's hard to control your emotions when you are in a panic. So start by taking some deep calming breaths before you face your fear, and again if you start to feel your heart race. Try to think about it rationally before you confront your fear. Preparing your mind ahead of time will allow you to control your emotions better. You can then expose yourself in limited measures to the thing you fear. Do not try to be perfect in your attempts. Some days will be better than others. Stepping away to calm yourself if you start to feel overwhelmed is important. That will help stop your fear from getting the better of you. Taking a trusted confidant can also be very helpful. If you continue to have completely irrational reactions to your fear, help from a therapist may be necessary. What is most important is that you keep trying. Many people simply avoid sources of their fear. But to me, they are missing out. Facing your fears, even if you never truly overcome them, builds character. It teaches you what your own limits are. It helps you realize you are not slave to your fears. It helps you broaden your perspective. Let's go back to my original question. What is your greatest fear? I believe all humans share the same greatest fear. We all have multiple things we're slightly or moderately afraid of, but I think all humans share one fear that is greater than any other. That is a fear of insignificance. People may say they are afraid of death or the dark, but I think even more than those things is the fear that we don't matter, that our life is meaningless. Notorious criminals who have been locked away for years and forgotten about will confess to the most heinous murders, even though they are completely innocent of them. Why? Fame. They simply want to be noticed, to be remembered, even if it is for something sinister and evil. They want to matter. If a person cannot find significance and meaning in a positive way, they will look for it in a negative way. A soldier may fear death, but they willingly lay down their lives for a cause. Their commitment to a meaningful purpose is greater than their fear of death. It is the same with a parent. A parent may fear any number of things, whether the dark, needles, or confined spaces, but they will willingly face those fears to rescue and protect their own children. Their purpose as a parent is greater than any other fear. But even these high purposes are not always enough to fill our longing for significance. Even soldiers and parents often do not feel fulfilled. They wish their life had a deeper purpose. I believe there is only one thing that can provide the significance and meaning that every human desires. The Bible tells us that the ruler of the universe created humans in his own image. He made us to be his own sons and daughters, inheritors of his royal lineage. God takes a personal interest in your life and what it means. To God, you are the most significant thing in the universe. He was willing to let his own son suffer the death of the cross to ensure your purpose could be fulfilled. God can overcome every fear we have. He provides the solution to the deepest human longing, the desire to be loved. But as with every other fear, we must choose the solution to overcome them. God will not force his solution on you, but he desperately wants you to come to him and accept it. He wants to give your life the ultimate purpose. He wants to take away all your fears. Here's a question to ponder. Will you ask God to show you his ultimate purpose for your life? Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Have a good week.